and welcome to the BigFix Briefing Room. My name is Michelle McGough, and I'm here with Joe Saylor. And together, we're going to discover the July 2025 highlights, beginning with the Microsoft Patch Tuesday overview, like we always do. Then Joe's going to break down a preview pane repeat, because we've seen it before. Then Joe's going to talk about BigFix's detection of Windows hot patches, and then we'll wrap up with an introduction to a new ServiceNow integration. So Joe, let's get started with the Microsoft overview.
Yeah, certainly. So by the numbers, we have 137 total vulnerabilities this month. That number seems high, but quite a few of them are more or less repeats of one another. So very similar vulnerabilities in the same product, but just ever so slightly different, so they needed a different CVE number. We have only one 0 day this month, so that race against the clock that we've been kind of working against for vulnerability patching that has not had a patch the moment it was announced isn't so much of a factor, but I do have some recommended acceleration for patching of Outlook and Windows 10.
Okay. Just the 1 0 day, I mean, that's great. It's a 7.5. It sounds not that serious. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly easily exploitable because it doesn't require a attacker to have any sort of authentication. So any attacker that has line of sight on your SQL server can probably exploit this. It has some requirements for like a race condition that they'd have to satisfy, but it doesn't have a very high magnitude of consequences for it being after it's been exploited. An attacker can only gain access to uninitialized memory, so that would be stuff that's like left over and has not been overwritten by like a new, say, SQL query making use of the memory that had been released. So the exposure is a little limited.
Got it. All right, well, thanks for breaking that down for us. It's not as bad as maybe a 0 day sounds, but it sounds like it's still something that folks are going to want to close. Just nobody likes the 0 day.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a critical 9.8.
Yeah, this is the this is the real story to me this month. SPNEGO, which is the official pronunciation of that awful acronym there. It's basically the way a little pre-protocol that helps a client negotiate which security protocol it's going to use with a server. So, you know, am I going to use Kerberos? Am I going to use TLS? Something like that.
Okay.
This is that little pre-protocol that allows a final protocol to be negotiated. It's ubiquitous. Like practically everything uses it. It looks really bad because it's pure remote code execution with no user authentication required and no user interaction required. So very easy to exploit. However, even though it's listed as vulnerable on like basically every OS, and it technically is, by default, the policy that enables an OS to be vulnerable is not on, except on Windows 10. Windows 10 clients are vulnerable to this by default. So as a pre-patch mitigation, there is a policy, we've got it listed at the bottom of the slide here, that will mitigate this vulnerability, but Windows 10 clients do not have that on by default.
Okay, and you've called this out as a GPO. Can that just be modified by configuring local machine policy?
Yes, of course.
Great. All right, well, that's achievable, very easily resolvable. So good news. I guess we can move on. More SQL Server remote code execution. What is it this time?
Yeah, poor SQL, getting hammered a little bit this month. So this one does require an attacker to have credentials. It can be any credentials, and it allows them to run any application they want in the context of the SQL Server account.
Okay, I think when we were putting this deck together, we put the deck together and I was looking at it and I was wondering like how bad could a user really foul things up here? And yeah, it sounds like pretty bad.
Pretty bad, yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of pivots. Your SQL Server account is probably pretty privileged. You know, it obviously has access to any data inside of your SQL database, so that's not great. Um, One other interesting tidbit here is, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's almost not really a remote code execution exploit. It's more of an elevation of privileges. In my view, anybody with like admin rights on a SQL box can execute pretty much any application. So once we've elevated to those admin rights, then you know we already have remote code execution. This just sort of skips that step of um, you know having to get an admin, having to compromise an admin account. Instead, you only have to compromise a low-level user account.
Okay. And there's a patch for this?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. This is going to be on your list too. Okay. And then one more critical with Kerberos. Oh, I remember looking at this before. I have a question. So go ahead and introduce us to this one, but I think I might still have a question.
Yeah, so the Kerberos proxy service helps with authentication. We typically see these servers out on the edge of your networks because that's where authentication needs to happen. So they're highly available. It's fairly easy to contact these servers usually where they exist or when you need them. So this authentication, it's listed as high complexity to exploit because you have to like find a race condition and exploit you have to win the race condition. But since they're so highly available, you can, you know, kind of wait for that condition to happen.
Yeah, sure. So whenever you introduce these, you almost always provide some relevance so that, you know, customer could figure out whether or not they're vulnerable right now. And in this case, we're just looking for a running service, pretty easy to find. Can we just disable this?
Yeah, I mean, you can. You would then not be vulnerable, which I'm kind of borderline on recommending that because usually when you have an authentication service like this out on the internet, it's because you need people to authenticate in order to work, kind of. Yeah. So this is that delicate balance between being highly secure and being usable. I would recommend just patching these systems as fast as possible where you find this service running because you almost certainly need it. Like if it's on, it's not on by default. If you've turned it on, you probably need it.
Okay, thanks for breaking that down. All right.
I don't even know what to say about this.
So your choice of the infinity symbol here, just.
Yeah, we've had so many. So this is, again, a series of exploits in the Office document design, where if a user opens up a maliciously crafted document that exploits one of these 4 vulnerabilities, then that malicious document can just run whatever it wants, some arbitrary code. And the main problem is that the preview pane in Outlook is a attack vector. So if you just have the preview pane open and one of these emails is at the top of your list and you open Outlook, it will just run what it wants. There's no additional buttons the user has to press in order for it to be, in order for them to be exploited.
Now, this is only a problem with the on-prem Outlook, right? Like locally, not on-prem, that I didn't say that right, but like the locally installed, right? Not the web-based.
Correct. So all of these are already patched in Office 365. One unfortunate bit of nightmare fuel for everybody out there right now is we've had 3 to 4 of these every month for the last 5 months. And 5 months ago, these 4 vulnerabilities existed. So next month's 4 vulnerabilities in this space exist today. And so Office 365 on the web is vulnerable to those today, right? So I don't think it's as safe as it appears to be just because you're using the web version.
Can the administrator disable the preview pane globally? Do we know?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I don't think that that's anything users would tolerate.
I know. I know, but after so many months, there's so many months of this, does anybody want to take the risk anymore? I don't know if it's really worth it, but it's a question that comes to my mind.
Yeah, there would be riots. The best protection is server-based filtering of emails, right? In my work email, I have never seen anything come through that even looks like a maliciously crafted document, which is great. In my spam emails in my private life, right now I have 3 on my front page that are clearly like offensive phishing emails. So the filtering is not as good there. Corporate filtering has kind of kept up for now.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That was valuable. What's next? Oh, the story of the month.
Yes.
ClickFix has gotten more aggressive.
Yeah, just evolved. So last month we talked about, ClickFix, which is this relatively new, it's about a year old now, new is not the right word, strategy to trick people into doing keyboard combinations in order to fix some imaginary problem that the attacker is trying to trick them into thinking is a real thing. And that has evolved to what they're calling FileFix, which is, as you can see kind of on the example on the right hand side of the slide here, where you try to trick a user into saving a page, just the raw HTML of a web page they're currently on, renaming it to .hta, and then opening the resulting HTA file. And the reason this is insidious is because HTA files are just like HTML scripts.
Right.
The OS trusts them implicitly. Like .hta is a trusted extension, and so a user will just double click on it and won't get any, hey, are you sure you want to run this? Or no UAC prompt, no mark of the web prompt. It's just an instant compromise.
Yeah. I could see this also being used for crypto wallet keys, not just backup codes for MFA. So I don't mean to laugh. I mean, I don't want to joke around and pretend that it's not important. It's a big deal. It's just just the depths at which, it's like it's novel and clever. And so, it's sort of brilliant, but at the same time, it's terrible. So my brain's trying to deal with that right now. Okay, so where are we seeing this? I mean, obviously, I see something called MFA backup codes. Did you create this as an example, or is this from an actual sample exploit?
So this is technically a sample exploit. This was the initial, a security researcher came up with this. It was about a week ago. This is very, very new. And this was their example of how it might look. So it's a real page, it's a real exploit, but it isn't something that is, out there maliciously trying to trick people. It's more of a proof of concept. But there are already examples out there where people are using this aggressively.
So it is out there in the wild.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the awareness. Yeah, it's like a true public service announcement right there.
Pretty much.
Well, let's end this on a couple of positive notes here. You want to break down Hotpatch for us?
Yeah, so Hotpatching, for those unaware, is a Microsoft Windows technology that allows a operating system to be patched without restarting. So it'll overwrite the currently running Windows binaries when you apply the patch. They are the same as the cumulative patches today. They have all of the same fixes for all of the CVEs we just talked about, only it just doesn't require the restart. The trick is that it is a different patch. It's not, doesn't have the same markers.
Sure.
And so when BigFix goes to try to apply a cumulative patch in the past, we wouldn't be aware that the Hotpatch was installed. And so we would try to apply the cumulative. Nothing particularly bad would happen, but we would generally trigger an extra restart, which is pointless because that's, we didn't want to restart. We applied the Hotpatch. But now, as of this month, we detect those hot patches and will no longer apply any sort of cumulative patch that matches the applied hot patch.
Okay, so I can see some benefits. It's obviously more efficient. I think that's going to improve the reporting as well. So that's great.
Yeah.
Happy to see that. Nice work, engineering. And then, yeah, I've got an announcement. So shout out to our product manager, Alessandro De Lorenzi, who has, with his teams, delivered Patch Workbench, which is an integration with BigFix and ServiceNow. We already have several integrations with ServiceNow. This one is different. This one is focused on end-to-end patching, and it's an integration for ServiceNow customers that really take the time to have good CI data in their ServiceNow CMDB. Because what you can do is you can patch using ServiceNow instead of the BigFix interface. And what this gives you the opportunity to do is you can offer self-service maintenance windows with a configurable start date, time, and frequency right out of the box. You can patch individually or curated groups of patches, or you can use your existing baselines. You can target specific computers as long as there's a CI, as well as computer groups. And you also have the ability to create automated change requests. So there's really, really nice end-to-end automation there. This is our first release of Patch Workbench. I think we're really looking for some feedback to see if there's more innovation that we can offer here. And you can find it right now on the ServiceNow Marketplace. I believe this is a free integration. If you have any questions, you can talk to your tech advisor, your BigFix seller, or your customer success exec.
Thanks, Michelle. Always love to see new innovation in the ServiceNow integration space.
I'm really excited, love it. So I think that's all we have this month. So really glad you joined us. If you're still here, thank you, and we'll see you all next month.